Well, folks, here we are again. It's time for the weekly forecast. Before we get to the main outlook, let's take a retrospective look at what's happened during this last 7-day period. Of course, last weekend we've seen the Arctic air infiltrate our region, and we've seen some very cold weather develop during that Saturday through the Tuesday time frame. And as you were in western Nebraska, we started to see the warm air move into the region in the Tuesday time frame, and that overspread much of the state as we got well into the Wednesday time frame, with temperatures moving well above normal. But if you look at the average for the whole week, we were very close to normal, just exceptionally cold and then exceptionally warm. Unfortunately, as we got into Thursday morning, we did see some fog set up over eastern Nebraska, and we did create a lot of black ice conditions during the early morning as temperatures were hovering in the upper 20s to near the freezing mark. Anytime we get these type of conditions where we have a warm front with very warm air moving in from the south over a very cold surface, we're going to get fog developing, and unfortunately, as those temperatures are close to freezing, we get sort of an ice fog type situation, and that's what creates black ice in many circumstances. So as we go forward in time, one of the things that we need to pay attention to as we get closer to the warmer part of the year is that these conditions do develop quite frequently, and to be aware that if your temperatures are below freezing and you have fog, most likely your surfaces are going to be very icy until the sun comes up and can burn it off. Now, in regards as we look into the future, it doesn't appear that we're going to see any significant moisture move into our region for at least the next 7 to 10 days, and we're going to be battling this off and on again, cold to warm cycle. So let's take a look at the upper air models and see how this is going to play out. And as we go to the upper air models, the first thing I'll draw your attention to is here is the upper air low that is expected to intensify over the Great Lakes as we move through the first 3 or 4 days of this period. And that's going to draw a lot of cold air into our region. So for today, most of our high temperatures across the state are going to be set during the first half of the day. And as we get into this afternoon, much cooler air is going to start filtering into the region. And we'll see a gradual steady temperatures to slightly dropping temperatures as we progress to the evening. We may see a few clouds and maybe a scattered flurry up in northeastern Nebraska, but for overall, we're not expecting a lot of precipitation. Now, as we get to tomorrow, we're going to start to see some colder air filtering in, and this is going to drop our temperatures a little bit more, and a reinforcing shot of cold air looks like it's going to come behind it as we get into late Sunday into early Monday. So by the time we get to Monday, you'll notice that we get some pretty significant cold air that's going to be funneling across, especially the eastern half of the state. And as we get into Tuesday, what you're going to notice is that trough starts to work its way toward the northeast, and we start to see this ridging pattern build into our region. And by the time we get to Wednesday, you're going to see that it comes ever closer to Nebraska, and very warm air is going to start moving into our region. And that trend looks to continue as we get into the Thursday. Although it does flatten out some, we'll be paying attention to this cold front that might be moving through on the surface sometime late Thursday to sometime late Friday. Right now, the models do bring this through sometime during the Friday time period, but it could be a little bit quicker. So we should see some warm temperatures on Thursday, and by the time we get to Friday, here comes that energy. So this would be our best chance for some accumulating snowfall, and most likely to be concentrated in northeastern Nebraska. Otherwise, we'd expect sort of flurry activity. So in terms of the main temperature forecast, you'll notice that we see a downward slide in our temperatures, just a slight chance of flurries both Sunday night and into Tuesday. This would be across northeastern Nebraska. Then we start the general warm-up trend where we start to drop into the 50s and 60s, or excuse me, the upper 50s, and then we see that big slide down on Friday with another Arctic front coming in. Now, in terms of 8 to 14 day forecast, we do see the consistency of that below normal temperatures to our northwest, warm to our southeast. We do see an increased precipitation to our east. Now, in terms of the new 30-day forecast for the month of February, we do see a colder signature to our north. In terms of precipitation, we keep the dry to our southwest.